We're starting Be'ez Hashem Siman Samach Aleph in Vayoel Moshe, and we're talking about the Indian of Binyan Beis Hamikdash before Bias HaMashiach, and the kasha that we started out with in Siman Nun Hey was that the Rambam said that one of the Simanim of Mashiach is that he's going to build the Beis Hamikdash, beginning of Nun Hey, and the problem with that was that the Yerushalmi Ma'aser Sheni that says that Binyan Beis Hamikdash will be before Malchus Beis David. So how does that fit together? And besides the fact that the Bavli says that it will be at a time when there'll be Gedolim that will be like Moshe and Aaron that will already be up. So basically he's saying, the Bavli is saying that Binyan Beis Hamikdash won't take place until after Mashiach is here. So we're going to just go over the two terutzim. It says Al Kalponim Zev Vadai. He says in any case, whether in Siman Samach he talked about whether it has to be the Malchus made a Gzeira, that they forced us to build it, or they didn't force. But whether they forced or they didn't force, one thing's for sure. Masha Kasu B'Yishalmi. This is what the Yishalmi says. Binyan Beis Hamikdash Kodim the Malchus Beis David Yesh Loi Beis Pirushim. There are two ways to learn it. Oy Shapirushu Sheyibana Achar Bias HaMashiach Terem Sheis Pashit Malchus Beis David. Either it could be that the Beis Hamikdash will be built after Mashiach comes, but before his kingdom is spread, before he's recognized as a king by the whole world. Oy lefi derech hatoisvis yamtiv tzarich liyos sheyeh k'moi b'mei Rabbi Shua ben Chananya. The other way to learn was that the Toisvis Yamtiv says that it's going to be before anything happens, before even Mashiach is here, and the pshat in that is that it will be like in the time of Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, that there was a gzeira of the Roman emperor to build the Beis Hamikdash, and they actually were about to start doing it, and then they stopped because he changed the gzeira. But Al Kapon, we see that there was a havamina to do it. Why? Because at that time in history they still knew how to make the Bayis Shlishi. They still had a Messiah, and eventually the Messiah got lost on purpose. It says Chazal purposely didn't transmit.
That's why the Bavli has no mention of it, because the Bavli was finally, there was already a time it was forgotten.
Right, and not only that, the Bavli says that when the Beis Hamikdash is built, it will be after Mashiach is here, and after Moshe and Aaron are here. So the Bavli is not like the Yishalmi, because the Bavli is written later. He says, "Shegazer Malchus Libnei Beis Hamikdash be'olam b'goyla tachas Malchus Arisha." That when the Romans made this gzeira, the Yidden were still under Rome. Shaloi haya adayin shum remez remiza shal geula. There was no redemption here. There was no Mashiach here. Ki me'es Rabbi Shua ben Chananya had achshav. Since even now the Mashiach hasn't come, so certainly then he says from the time of Rabbi Shua ben Chananya till now, but when the senior Rabbim yatsu mashi yatsu, a lot of years have gone by. Va'adayin ben David loy ba. So for sure at that time there was no havamina. The Mashiach is coming at that time, and still the Malchus made this gzeira, and they were about to do it. Yeah. So going back to the Rambam now, the Rambam, if you go like the first pshat that will happen at the beginning of Mashiach's coming, but before it's Nis Pashet, then the Rambam makes sense, because the Rambam is saying Mashiach will build it. The problem is going to be, according to the second shot, that it will happen before Mashiach will come. Then how can the Rambam say that Mashiach is going to be the one to build it? Okay, we're going to get to that in a minute. Anyway, since, or it must be that Shita in the Yerushalmi held to be afraid for this possibility. The Kivan Shabinyan Beis Hamikdash Kodim the Malchus Beis David, since it's possible to have the Beis Hamikdash before Mashiach, V'chein Yuchal Li Ois Oid Sheisrami K'moi B'mei Rabbi Shua ben Chananya. That it's possible to have a situation like Rabbi Shua ben Chananya's case. Sheyigzru Malchus Arisha Livnoi Beis Hamikdash. They'll make a gzeira that you have to build it. V'ein bozeh shum remesh shel geula, and it won't be geula. There won't be any tzaddikim that are able to paskin the shiloh then. So that's why they had to make a t'nai, like the Mishnah says in Ma'aser Sheni. Okay, uve Meleches Shlomo al Mishnayos. The Pirush on the Mishnah is called Meleches Shlomo. He says, "Kosev Shav Yerushalmi Atzmoim Masma Achar Kach." The Yerushalmi itself is matmiya. It asks on this, and it comes out not like that, because he learns not going to look at the Yerushalmi inside now, but if you want to look at it, have it in the sources of 23, source number 23. But if you look at the Melech HaShlomo, it's in source 22.
Who's the Melech HaShlomo?
Is a Yid from Teman, Yemenite.
Prepared for Yerushalmi?
Yeah, about 200 or 300 years ago. He came to Yerushalayim with his father and his family, and we quoted him before in Siman, I think Yud Gimel, talking about they had a Messiah that the Yemenite Jews were asked by Ezra to come up, and they didn't come up, and that's why they had a makkah of they had poverty all the time because they didn't follow Ezra's command. Anyway, that's in the Hakdama of Melech HaShlomo on Zroim. But take a look here in page 3 of the 22, sources 22. Let me just see it also. He's going on this Mishnah that, Meheira Yibana Beis HaMikdash, Amos Aish Yibana Beis HaMikdash, Yachzor Adavar L'Kamoy Shahaya. So he says, in the second line on the right column, he says, Yachzor Adavar L'Kamoy Shahaya, Shehamahalach Yoim Echad Lo Yuklu Liftoisai, V'Kasavar, Beis HaMikdash Asiv Libanos Koydem Malchus Beis David. This man, the Maamar, holds that the Beis HaMikdash will be built before the Malchus Beis David. It could East of Yerushalmi. Now, Uvi Yerushalmi matmiya Allah. The Yerushalmi asks on this. It says in the pasuk, "V'dam einav tishte chamer." The blood of the grape they will drink in a chashuv way, in a very fancy way. So he says, "Hainu bias hamashiach tichsiv be pura derachti levadi." That the dam einav, the blood of the grape, refers to Mashiach because it says pura derachti levadi. That Hashem is saying in the time of Mashiach he's going to step on the grapes and make the wine come out. V'achar kach tishte chamer, hainu yein nischa. That when the Beis Mikdash is built, then there'll be nesachim. There'll be wine poured on the mizbeach, and that's the tishte chamer. Mashma the Malchus Beis David kodemis. So he's saying that Yerushalmi's slugging up that statement.
Right afterwards it says so.
Right afterwards, right. We had in the Siman, I think it was Siman Samach, I said it over, I forgot where, but maybe earlier. There were a few ways to learn that Yerushalmi. Maybe it's Nun Zayin, actually. There was the Pnei Moshe, who learns that the Yerushalmi is not even coming from the Mishnah, and he learns it all as one thing. Well, the Melech HaShlomo is learning that the Yerushalmi is coming from the Mishnah, kind of like the Tosfos Yantif. It's saying that, we have to say that there were choishes that the Beis HaMikdash should be built, but then the Yerushalmi slugs it up and says, no, it can't be. Basically, so the Maskana of the Yerushalmi is not like that, according to the Melech HaShlomo. Okay, back to Vayoel Moshe. So he says, Shapirish b'masha Omer b'dam einav tishte chamer. It says that when the pasuk says "Dam einav tishte chamer," dahainu bias hamashiach, the Malchus Beis David kodemis, that Mashiach will be first. Now, back to the Rambam again. So the Rambam is a problem, right? According to the second shot that the Beis HaMikdash could be built before Mashiach, then how could the Rambam say that's one of the signs of Mashiach? So he says the Rambam l'shitasai, since he holds shekasav she'ach shavein yoidim ha'eich livnoisai. He quoted the Rambam, I think, in Siman Samach, in the middle here, that the Rambam says that today we don't know how to build Bayis Shlishi. And that's why the Mishnah never explains it. And Psukim and Yechezkel are too hard to understand. So the Rambam himself holds that you can't build Bayis Shlishi by yourself. Okay? So Shapir Kostov, that's why the Rambam wrote Misimani HaMelech HaMashiach, that one of the signs of Mashiach is Sheyibana Beis HaMikdash, Sheyivne Beis HaMikdash, that he will build the Beis HaMikdash. Shahari Kostov ShaMelech HaMashiach Yeh Chacham Yoiser Mishloimai. He himself will be very wise, and he'll know the Navi Yoiser Mikol Navim. He'll be a Navi greater than all the Navim. Karav Moshe Rabbeinu, all of a sudden he's almost like Moshe. Kemavur B'Hilchas Shuva Vim Kenis Baru Al Yad Kos Fekas. He will decide all the questions we have about Beis HaMikdash. V'yuchal hu livnois Beis HaMikdash. He'll be the one who could build it. So it comes out that in the Chanami, in the time of Rabbi Shua and Chananya, they had a Kabbalah how to build the Beis HaMikdash, but we lost it since then, and that's why the Rambam is saying now the only one who could do it is Mashiach. Okay, now we're going to get to a new problem here. That there's a place where it says in the Midrashim and more above a comma, it says that the Beis HaMikdash will come down from Shemayim. So how does that fit in with all that we've been saying till now? So he says like this: it was Sukkah Daf Mem Aleph Gabi Yom Hanef Kulei Aster. My time in Meheri Ban and Beis Hamikdash. It's good to see this whole Gemara inside to understand what's going on. So,
what's the Yom Hanef? What does this mean?
Yeah, Yom Hanef means the Yom Hanafas HaOmer. When they brought the Korban HaOmer on the second day of Pesach, that was Matir Chadash.
Yeah.
Chadash, the new grain. You're not allowed to eat the new grain until you bring the Korban HaOmer. And Hanef means the waving of the Korban HaOmer. And take a look. The Mishnah in Sukkot Daf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, it's page 1 in the Maamar Koimus. Mishnah says that it's talking about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's takana. He says he made a takana that the lulav should be taken all 7 days in the Beis Hamikdash.
Why?
As a zecher to the Beis Hamikdash, because in the time of the Beis Hamikdash they took it all 7 days in the Beis Hamikdash. I'm sorry, and only 1 day in the rest of the world. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was misaking to take it all 7 days in the rest of the world. That's what I meant to say. And then he says, the second takana was She'ehei Yom Hanef Kulei Aser. The last line in the Mishnah, he says that the day of waving the Omer, the whole day should be Aser to eat the new grain. Meaning like this, that midaraisa, you can eat the new grain as soon as you bring the Korban Omer. Even if it's...
the 16th of Nisan.
Right, the 16th of Nisan, even 9 o'clock in the morning, as soon as you bring the Korban, you're allowed to eat. Nowadays, that there's no Beis Hamikdash, midaraisa you're allowed to eat right away when the morning comes. Alois the Shachar. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made a takana that the whole day should be aser. Why? Because he was afraid that maybe Beis Hamikdash will get built and people will think, oh, I'm allowed to eat chadash right away in the morning, and they won't realize that now the Beis Hamikdash is here and they have to wait for the korban to be brought. So in Eretz Yisrael, it's mutter on the 16th. At the end of the day, the 17th, the beginning of the day, right? Beginning of the 17th, when the 16th, nighttime, right? In other words, the first, what's for them, the second day, Chol HaMoed, it's mutter. Yeah. And by us, we wait another day because of.
Yeah, but many aren't machmir with Yashan.
Right, but those who are machmir, they wait until another day. Now, it's not negay anyway because all the matzahs are Yashan, so there's nothing you really could eat Chadash on Pesach. But okay, right. Anyway, take a look. The Gemara says, "V'shihei Yom Hanef." My timer. Why did he make this takana? Because Meheira Yibana Beis Hamikdash v'Yoimru Eshtaka Mi Lo Yachalnu Beheira Mizrach. That when the Beis Hamikdash gets built, let's say, like right at the beginning of Pesach, people will think, "Oh, we could still eat till the end of at the beginning of the day," and really not. Really, they have to wait till the korban is brought. They'll say, now let's also eat. They don't know that Eshtaka did I have a Beis Hamikdash last year. There was no Beis Hamikdash. Heira Mizrach eatir. Then when the sun came up in the morning, it was mutter. But Hashta the Ika Beis Hamikdash Omer matir. Now there's a Beis Hamikdash, so they have to wait for the Omer. Now, in fact, the Gemara the Ivni Emas. When's the Beis Hamikdash getting built? What are we afraid of? Ilema the Ivni B'Shisar. If you're going to say it was built on the 16th of Nisan, Harei Hitir Heira Mizrach. It already got light in the morning. That was already matir of the chadash. So you can't ask. You can't say that you have to wait for the omer because the heter was chal already. El the ivni b'chameisar. You have to say that it was built on the 15th of Nisan.
Wait, the base was built on the 15th of Nisan?
On Yom Tif, yeah.
How was it on Yom Tif? You want for it?
Wait. We're getting to that. So El the ivni b'chameisar is built on the 15th. Mechatzois hayoim ulahalon. Oh, so in fact the more mechatzois hayoim ulahalon tishteri. Then it should be mutter from the middle of the day and onwards. Because really what the Gemara means now is up till and including the 15th of Nisan, let's say the 14th, the 13th, any other day of the year. So the Omer is always brought in the morning of the 16th. So by Chatzos...
You can't bring a korban at night. That's you can't bring it by day.
You can't bring it at night. You schneid it up. You cut the tefua at night and then you bring it in the morning. But it's always brought by Chatzos. So by Chatzos, everybody's allowed to eat Chadash. He says, "Mechatzois hayom ulahalon tishteri dohatanan harachokim mutar mechatzois hayom ulahalon." People who are far from Yerushalayim and they don't know when the korban was brought, they can assume after Chatzos it was brought, after noon it was brought. Yeah. So he says, "Lafisha ein bezdin mis atzlim boy." They're not lazy about it. They always bring it right away in the morning. So if the Beis Hamikdash was built any time previous to either from the 15th of Nisan and before that, Bezdin would have for sure brought the korban by now. So you can eat by Chatzos. So yeah, but the problem is it could be mutter by Chatzos. So why did Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai have to make a takana that it should be aster for the whole day?
Right.
So the Gemara answers, Leitzricha the ivni b'lelia, that he was afraid the Beis Hamikdash would get built at night, the night between the 15th and the 16th.
You're allowed to build by day.
Wait. Inami samach lishkis hachamor. Maybe it was built on the 15th. on Yom Tov, but it's close to the end of the day. So they didn't have time to get everything set up on time, and that's why it's Oster for the whole day.
But I said you come build it by day, not at night.
So now take a look at Rashi. V'i kasha de'v'layla einoi nivne. You can't build the base of Mikdash at night. The Kaimla b'Shvuos. The Gemara in Shevuos says the ein binyan base of Mikdash b'layla. D'chsivu v'yoim hakim. Yeah, so you can't bring it. You can't build the base of Mikdash at night. But in fact, Rashi another kasha v'loy b'chameser. You can't build it on the 15th. Shehu Yom Tov. The Kaimla b'Shvuos. The ein binyan base of Mikdash doicha Yom Tov. It's not doicha Yom Tov. Just like we learn out from the Mishkan, right? You can't that you can't build it on Shabbos. You can't build it on Yom Tov either. That's only when you build something by your human hands. The future base of Mikdash that we're waiting for is it's already built, it's already ready, and Yigala, it will be revealed, will come down from Shemaim, Shenemar, Mikdash Hashem Kohen Nuidecha, that Hashem's hands built the base of Mikdash.
We even have a halacha on this, that the base of Mikdash will be built. It's not just in the God, rather we actually have a halacha from here.
Right, we actually have a halacha.
We're not smart as Zionists who make fun of a God because they're all connected to halacha.
Yeah, that's true. Tosfos says the same thing over here. Okay, so now let's go back to Vayoel Moshe. It says, "V'sukadaf mem aleph gabi yoim hanav kulei oster my taima mehera yibana beis hamikdash." V'hiksha sham Rashi. Rashi asks, Tosfos. Tosfos also asks the same thing. The same thing as Rashi. You can't build the base of Mikdash on Yom Tov and not at night. So they answer, we just saw what they answer, that it's going to come down from Shemaim. Yeah. However, if you look, he's about to quote the Meiri. He says, "Because of HaMeiri, the Chayshi lebezdin toin." A different teretz. I'll tell you, people are going to build the base of Mikdash. Mashiach is going to build it. But the pshat is, why are we afraid that it will be built at night? Because maybe the bezdin will be wrong. They'll make a mistake and they'll paskin that you're allowed to build it at night. Or Yom Tov. Okay, and
does it argue with Rashi?
Meiri argues with Rashi. Meiri says, "V'afal pisha ein binyan beis hamikdash." This is page 3 of the Maamar Koimus. "Afal pisha ein binyan beis hamikdash doicha Yom Tov. V'chein ein binyan beis hamikdash b'layla. Da'haksivu b'yoyim hakim is the Mishkan." So, and for the Meiri, chashash lebezdin toyim. He's afraid they'll make a mistake. Shetehei chibas hakodesh miviyasan l'chach. That their love for the holy thing, love for building the base of Mikdash, will make them. They'll be so excited about it that they'll paskin wrong and they'll forget this halacha that you're allowed to.
That's how it was made a day later than the 16th.
That's why we're afraid that it'll be built on the night of the 16th, and then people won't be ready to be makriv of the korban until the end of the day. The Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai was masakin not to eat chadash the whole day.
I see.
Okay. So kavanasai, the Meiri means back to Vayoel Moshe. Kavanasai gamkein. The Meiri also means that Chashu Shema Yera Kamoy B'mei Rabbi Shua ben Chananya. Now, this Bezdin Toyin, he's saying, it doesn't mean Mashiach is going to make mistakes. Eliyahu is going to make mistakes. It means that it's going to happen before B'yas HaMashiach, like the story of Rabbi Shua ben Chananya. That's what he says the Meiri means. Not just the fact that they built it on Yom Tov or on nighttime is a mistake. The whole fact that they built it will be a mistake. Okay? Now, wait, it's not really a mistake because really Rabbi Shua ben Chananya also had a heter to build it, he said. So it's not pshat that it's a mistake, it's just pshat that they'll build it at night on Yom Tov. I don't know why he says kol binyan al yetois. It says tikul shvei lashon mashma that kol binyan al yetois, that they weren't supposed to build it. But according to what he said before, Rabbi Shua ben Chananya's time, they had a heter to build it. I don't know. Now he says like this: the Gemara in Sukkah is only a havamina. Really, the Gemara comes out not like this. Why? According to the Maskana, the Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai didn't make up a new takana. He just explained what the din deraisa is. And take a look at that. You want to see what that means? It means Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omar, back in page 1 in Sukkah, last 3 lines. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak said a different teretz on the kasha of when the base of Mikdash will be built, and the kasha of like why Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had to make this takana. He says, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai b'shitas Rabbi Yehuda Amra, the Amra mina Torah hu aser. That he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that mina Torah, the chadash is aser until the end of the day. Bisman hazeh. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was not really making a takana. He was just explaining that Rabbi Yehuda said this.
Oh, wait, what do you mean that? Min Torah Asher B'Kisvel Azel. What do you
Dichsiv, we didn't read the end of the sentence.
What's Asher Min Torah?
Chalosh is Asher till the end of the day when there's no base in Mikdash.
So you have to wait till 17, in fact. If
Right.
there's no base
Now,
in
up till now, we were assuming that Midaraisa, when there's no base in Mikdash, Chalosh is mutter right away in the morning. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made us wait till the end of the day. Now he's saying that Rabbi Yehuda holds not like that. Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's Asher till the end of the day, Midaraisa. And all Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai did was he publicized it.
Right, because it wasn't known, because he lived during the Churban, it wasn't known yet.
It wasn't known what the halacha was when there's no base in Mikdash, because it never happened before in recent history.
I see.
And I copied off the end of the Gemara here, but I don't know.
Ad Etzem Yom is until this very day.
Ad Yitzum Shayom, and he holds Ad B'chlal. He holds that Ad means including the 16th. Yeah, I don't want to be married too much. The Gemara asks, it sounds like he argues, and the Gemara comes out, no, he really agrees to him, he's just explaining it.
Yes.
And then he says at the end, Hiskin Kamar, the Mishnah says he made a takana. My Hiskin Darash v'Hiskin. Hiskin just means he explained it, but not that he actually made up a new takana. So the Rebbe is calling that a maskana. I'm not sure why he calls that a maskana. It's not like the Gemara is slugging anything up. It's just saying Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak has another way.
And what's a maskana? What's the exact definition of maskana?
A maskana means like the Gemara rejects the previous thing and comes out with a different answer.
So maskana is like a previous rejection and a new answer. A
conclusion. And this is the definitive conclusion. But I don't see where he saw that Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak is the definitive conclusion of the Gemara. He's just another shita. The first shita of the Gemara held, no. Kipshuta, it means like you would read the words that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made a takana. What was the takana? The whole day should be aser. The base of Mikdash can't be built at night. Okay, Ayin Sham. Rashi has an answer on that. But Rabbi Yochanan bar Yitzchak is saying he's saying a different pshat, but he's not saying to slug up the previous pshat. Okay. Uvelav hachi. Rashi, haloi Rashi v'toisis harashba v'aritva kulam kastvu ateret shalachein efshe sheibana b'yantehu v'layla. They all say, Rashi v'toisis, we said already, Rashba and Ritva, they all say that why we're choishish that the base of Mikdash will be built at night, because b'shvil shebinyan ha'asi these gala v'yava mishamayim banayu m'shuchlal. The base of Mikdash will come down from Shemayim. So, not like the Meiri. The Meiri said the pshat is that base will make a mistake, and they'll build it before Mashiach is here, and they'll build it at night. Now he's saying no. He's saying it will be built by Hashem. It will come down from Shemayim. So it's not a riot. It won't be a riot to the Yerushalmi. They hold like the Yerushalmi. And by the way, there's a Meister there. Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin, he was Rav in Yerushalayim. He used to go out every morning from his house and go up to the roof and look to see if the Beis Mikdash was built overnight.
Why?
Because because of this Gemara. The Gemara says maybe the Beis Mikdash will be built from Shemayim at night, and nobody will know about it. So he wanted to be the first to know. So he would go out on his roof and look towards the Makom HaMikdash to see if it was built. And that's like this pshat. Because if it's built by people, he's going to know about it, right? Everybody would be building it. It would make a lot of noise, a lot of publicity. He was choish that it would come down from Shemayim. Okay. Now, Hagam Shemasha Kostav Rambam Shemelach HaMashiach Yivnei Beis HaMikdash L'choyer Hu Neged Zeh. Seems that what the Rambam says that Mashiach will build it is against this thing that it will come down from Shemayim. Yeah. She'amru she'abayis ha'asi yavim min ha'shemayim banu u'mashuchla. By the way, these words that keep on popping up, banu u'mashuchla, built and ready, that's a lashon of a medrash Rabbah Breishis, a few other places. Anyway, yeah, the Heir Ke'ein Zeh B'Tiferes Yisrael Al Mishnayis Reish Midas. That the Tiferes Yisrael on the Mishnayis in the beginning of Masechta Midas asks, how did the Rambam stem with this Gemara and Sukkah? Maybe he holds like the Meiri, right? Maybe he holds that it's going to be B'dei Adam, but even that's not like the Rambam, because that's talking about people building it before Mashiach comes. The Rambam saying Mashiach will build it. So how does he stem with the Gemara in Sukkah? Take a look, and it says because of Dvarim Techukim. The Tiferes Yisrael says a very difficult teretz, and he says ve'ein laharich. We're not going to go into it, but I wanted to see it anyway. So take a look, page 5 of Maamar Koimus. It's the Midas, the beginning of Midas. Right at the beginning. What? It's mad. So Tiferes Yisrael says, "Ve'af agav the binyan shelo asi yibana be beis shamayim me'elav." Even though the Beis Hamikdash will be built by itself, come down from Shemayim. Kirashi Rosh Hashanah Daf Lamed Uvestukah Daf Mem Aleph V'Tois V'Stukah V'Shevuos. Al Kaponim Le Rambam Anal Shekastav Shalim Misechus Zu Hu Laman Yedu Eich Yivnuha. The Rambam says, what do we learn from Masechta Midas? Why do we have a Masechta Midas in Shas?
And what to base on how the Torah will be built.
Right. So the question is, the Beis Hamikdash is going to come down from Shemayim. So he says, This Tanchuma that Toisvis brings down in Shevuos Daf Tesvav on the base, it's a Tanchuma. And by the way, it's also Bava Kama Daf Samach on the base. And Hashem says, I'm going to fix up what I burnt down. You know, Hashem is the one who built the fire.
I destroy with fire, and I rebuild with fire.
Right. So this thing is divrei agada. It's only divrei agada.
Oh, Zionist argument. Only divrei agada.
So this is what the Tiferes Yisrael says.
The argument I like to bring is only divrei agada.
V'ein l'meidim mimenu. You don't learn from Agadata ki Yerushalmi perek vav de Peah. But we talked about this once before, that when the Yerushalmi in Peah says that we don't learn from Agadata, it means midrashim. It doesn't mean gemaras. Things that are brought in Shas are not called Agadata. Of
course not, because Bavli was written as a psak, and are all connected to the halacha.
So that's why it's shver what he's saying here, that he says the Tanchuma is divrei Agada. Okay, fine.
How about the Bavli?
But how about the Bavli? How about Rashi, who says this is pshat in the Bavli?
Yeah.
So maybe you could learn like the Meiri. I don't know. It says anyway, Ela Rod Saloimar Shakodesh Baruch Hu Yisayim B'derech Nei Shivnuhu. He says it's divrei Agada, meaning he's not dismissing it completely. He's saying it's divrei Agada, but you can interpret it however you want. And I'm going to interpret it that it means HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help them to build the Beis Hamikdash, but not that he'll build it himself. V'hadi amina b'shvuos t'ivni b'lelia oy t'ivni b'yamtif v'ein binyan Beis Hamikdash b'layla v'loy b'yamtif. This that it says that Beis Hamikdash might be built at night. Yesh loimer de'al pi adibur shani. That maybe when Hashem tells us to do it, it'll be different. But stam is that you don't build it at night. Like during Bayis Sheni, let's say, in the middle of the Bayis Sheni,
or even Rishon.
Bayis Rishon, if they needed to fix something, yeah, you can't fix it at night. But if Mashiach comes, there'll be a piyadibur, there'll be a psak that we have to do it. And he says, "V'loy zeh lafi anis daiti loy mash mekushis Rashi midein binyan Beis Hamikdash doich yamtiv eina chazaka kol kach." He says that the kasha of Rashi that the Beis Hamikdash is not built on Yom Tov is not so shver, because you could say that Goyim will build it. He says the Yesh Leimer sheyivnu a nachrim ke'inyan shenemar v'amdu zarim v'rod
nachrim.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I'll just say one thing. You see, well, I'm learning Shalom now, and we learned in Shalom that you don't accept Shalom from Goyim. Wait. Good. But even Ezra said we're not letting Goyim build as Beis Hamikdash. But the kasha is why by the first Goyim build, not by the second, and the first was holier, and the second, as we all know.
How do you know the first one Goyim built it?
Well, Hiram, you know, over Shlomo, I'll help you build your. And I said, yeah, sure, you can help.
Right.
But I asked some of the Rabbis if this is a proper understanding. It said it sounded like it makes sense, because if the first one was only built by Yidden, it will never have been destroyed. It would have been too holy to destroy, but the second was Shia was already less.
It was already less of a holiness.
Then, if Goyim built it, it would have been too short. So for it to last as long as it did, you need only to build it. But the first, it would have never been destroyed if you didn't build it, and it wasn't for that time yet.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
Okay, I hear.
But the third will be forever. We will know it won't be destroyed again. So
how could you have Goyim? So he asks like this. He says, "V'im mishum loy lachem v'lanu leave nois beis elokenu." What you just said, right? Goyim can't build it. That's when the Goyim contribute their own money to build it. But if they're just the workers, then it's okay. He says, Teda, I'll bring you a ride. So he's answering your question. He's saying Shlomo used them as workers. But not as contributing money. Like Shlomo paid their salaries out of his own pocket. So that's okay. Then he says, "Bi'afal gav the nachri aster lichnois." He says a guy can't go in, and he goes into the whole shaila. Well, he's going against Rashi, because Rashi's having a kasha here. How could you build a balayla in B'yantif?
Right, so that's already a big kasha.
Saying,
right.
I don't know how this answers Lila, because if you build it at nighttime with Goyim, how does it help?
Right. I'm saying
Shabbos, maybe Yom Tov.
I get to mean very controversial what he said.
Uva Orach L'Ner al Maseches Sukkah, Sham Daf Mem Aleph, Hevi Gamkin Raya Shi Bona Beis Hamikdash L'Asi B'dei Adam. The Orach L'Ner also asks on this Rashi. Rashi says it's going to come down from Shemaim. No. He says.
Wait, who was the Orach L'Ner?
Orach L'Ner of Yaakov Ettlinger, also in Germany, about in the late 1800s.
Oh, that was already very late after already.
Yeah. He's the one who Rabbi Sfiras Kalisher wrote to him and asked him for support for his idea of building the Beis Hamikdash and really bring Karbanos.
No.
And he said no. So, but this Orach L'Ner, even though he says that, but he still holds that people have to build the Beis Hamikdash. He says Mashiach's going to build it. He brings Rayas. So, look inside in a minute. Orach L'Ner al Maseches Sukkot Sham Daf Mem Aleph Hevi Gamkein Rayas Sheibana Beis Hamikdash L'Asi B'dei Adam V'Yichriya, and how does he answer up Rashi's medrash that holds that it will come down from the sky? The Tarvayu Istnu, they're both true. Shekoidem, first Yivnu Binyan Mamish B'dei Adam, people will build the building. V'Achakach Yavoy Beis Hamikdash Shal Ma'al L'Soich HaBais Shenivne K'Neshama B'Soich HaGuf, that after the people have finished building it, the Beis Hamikdash will come down into that building. The Shemaim, the heavenly Beis Hamikdash, will come down into the earthly one, like a neshama going into the body. You find a similar idea that the fire from Shemaim came down. That it's a mitzvah lohavi min hedya. The Kohen has to light the fire. But it says, "Nosnu b'nei Aaron kohanim eish al mizbeach." They'll put fire on the mizbeach, and then the fire will come in.
Levi and the Israelim give the money, to contribute to the fire. It'll be forever.
Yeah, but the fire that's a natural fire. But then it will come down from Shemaim into the eish shel hedyot. Shenivar be'etzim. Okay, Gam b'yetiv panim. That's the Rebbe's grandfather, the Yitav Lev. Hevi ke'ein zeh me'ez sefer. He brings down a similar teretz from a certain sefer. Okay, but his problem with this Orach L'Ner is aval maspik rak l'taret shelo yestira midivrei Chazal b'medrash sheyavoy bani u'meshuchlo milmala. That this teretz only answers up the stira between on one hand the medrash says it will come down from the sky. And the other hand, Rashi says, not Rashi, the Rambam says that different Maamar Koyim say that it will be built by Mashiach. So the teretz to that is what he said. The first people will build it, it will come down from the sky. Avodas Rashi, the Toisvis, EF Shaliyashib Bachrazu. But you can't use this to answer up Rashi and Toisvis. Why? Shari Kosvu Shabishvil Kain F Shashiyah Nivna B'Yamtiv of Balayla. Rashi says it's possible for it to be built at night, on Yamtiv.
That was normally Yasser.
Right, so even if you're going to say people will build it and then it will come down from Shemaim, so what? But people have to still build it, right? Kivin she'eino b'dei adam. Rashi says it's not b'dei adam, not by human hands. But if you're going to say v'im tzrichim she'iyah koydem binyan b'dei adam, if you need it to be first built by human hands and then from Shemaim will come, then eino matur, it's klal. This doesn't answer the question at all. Okay. Take a look just to see what his sources are, Orach L'Ner's sources for saying that the Beis Hamikdash will be built by human beings. Page 6, the Orach L'Ner on Sukkah, he says, Rashi says, Bani Meshuchlahu v'af shegam ha'toisvis v'aritva hiskimu lazeh. So a lot of Rishonim agree to this thing of Rashi. La'nis daiti doicheku l'farish ha'gemor kain. It's fair to learn this way, he says. We always say the words Yibana Beis Hamikdash. It will be built. What do you mean it will be built? It was built already. It's just has to come down.
So he's not agreeing with Rashi, it means.
Yeah, he's saying the Rashi.
He's going by those who argue with Rashi, I guess.
Like the Meiri, I guess. Yeah, maybe he didn't have the Meiri. I don't know. He says Ulefi Divrei Rashi Havalei L'Meimar Mehera Yigale Beis Hamikdash. All our tefillos, we always say Yibana Beis Hamikdash, right?
Or Yored.
Yered Beis Hamikdash.
Go down.
V'chein lashon de ivni. Even the Gemara here in Sukkah itself, it says the ivni emas. When was it built? It's mashma the kamar mashma binyan mamish. V'chein lekaman the kamar man ninhu dalad charashim umani Mashiach ben David Mashiach ben Yosef ba'adayu. It talks about in Sukkah Daf Nun Beis talks about Mashiach ben David Mashiach ben Yosef. U'pirish Rashi Mashiachim shnehem umnim lebinyan Beis Hamikdash. They are both craftsmen who built the Beis Hamikdash. Ayin Sham. Kitzer, those are his rise. And then he says, from our tefillas that we say, he brought some milfonecha sheibana base of mikdash meheru imenu. Okay? Yeah. All these tefillas are going to be for nothing. Okay. But then he says, the L'maisa of the Medrash says it. So what do you do with the Medrash? So he says, at first it will be built by humans, and then it will come down from Shemayim. But to say what Rashi says, he's saying it doesn't fit with this, because Rashi is saying that it could happen on Yom Tov. That's fair.
So maybe the physical part will be built before, and then they will come down, maybe.
But then why are we going to have to wait the whole day to eat Chodesh if we know the physical part wasn't built?
Right.
You know, if it would have been built, it would have been built on Yudalad Nisan or something before that.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he says, the Aruch LaNer, because of this reason, he forces himself Levakish Teretz Acher to say a different pshat al Kushis Rashi v'Tosfos, to answer up Rashi and Tosfos' question and to explain why Binyan based Mitzvah could take place on Yom Tov. Since all these four Rishonim are all saying the same answer here, we can't even think of disagreeing. It seems like it's pretty clear to them that this was the answer. We have to work hard, give ourselves out to explain their words. Even though we could think of our own teretz here, and maybe the teretz we think of could be better, more satisfying, it's chas v'shalom to argue on the Rishonim. Our minds are nothing compared to them. So he says, one thing if the teretz makes sense, then you could see that people would have a reason to want to do it. But here he's saying the Aruch LaNer's teretz doesn't even make sense. Why? He's going to say it now. Shekasav l'taretz al pi divrei Rashi b'Shabbos daf tzadik hey, al pi divrei Tosfos b'Shabbos daf tzadik hey. Hikshu de binyan b'yom tov yehiyeh mutter mitam mitoich. That the Gemara in Shabbos says that making cheese, megabe, making cheese is a tolda of boina, the malacha of boina, really? Building boina? On Shabbos. Yeah.
Really, you can build food.
Yeah, it's called building.
Really, and why is that?
Because you're solidifying the milk. On Shabbos, it's not allowed to make cheese because of boina. But everything that's mutter on for food, it's done for food, is mutter on Yom Tov.
Well, you can't pick fruits, for example, on Yom Tov.
But things that are done on a one-time basis, like every time you want to eat chicken, you cook it. So you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov. So every time you want cheese, maybe that's how they did it in the old days. They just took the milk and made cheese.
From what I've read, it's not allowed.
Okay, so he says, Tosfos asks that why don't we say now that cheese is mutter on Yom Tov, why shouldn't it be allowed to build your house on Yom Tov? For the same reason, because mitoich shehuter l'tzorich, huter shelo l'tzorich. There's a klal on Yom Tov that if something is mutter for eating purposes, like cooking, so now it's mutter to cook for non-eating purposes. It's mutter to light a fire for anything. Same thing is mutter to carry outside, even for other purposes. Okay, so Tosfos answers, "V'tirtzu da midaraisa be'emes mutter, rak midarabanan aser." That really midaraisa, it's taka mutter. It's mutter to build your house on Yom Tov. Peladik Tosfos, yeah. Rak midarabanan aser. It's just aser midarabanan to build a house on Yom Tov. V'chasav al zeh ha'aruch LaNer. So the Aruch LaNer takes this Tosfos and he says, "Okay, now I have an answer to my question here." Shezeh mevur de ein shaykh zeh rak leRebbe Lezer. He says that's only Rebbe Lezer.
Who's the Raisa?
The sphere laid the megaben chayav mishum boina. What? Take a look at Rebbe Lezer. I have the Gemara on Shabbos here. It's on page 8.
Because a house only has to be built for Tzarech Yom Tov, not for after Yom Tov.
Yeah, okay, we're talking about that. You need a house for Yom Tov. You want a place to live. On Yom Tov. You have no house and you want to sit down inside somewhere, you build it. Sukkah, maybe on Sukkahs you build it.
Sukkahs, yeah.
So, take a look. Tana Rabbanan, hacholev v'hamechabetz v'hamegabin, someone who milks a cow, or he separates the curds in the whey, or a megabin, and makes cheese, kegroigris, the size of a fig. Hamechabed, someone sweeps the house, v'hamerabetz, pours water on the floor, v'haroy the chalos, dvash, he takes the honey out of the honeycomb. Shogeg b'Shabbos, chayav chatas. If he did it on b'shogeg, by accident, chayav chatas. Hazid, B'Yom Tov, if he does it on purpose on Yom Tov, like our boim, gets malchus. Divrei Rebbe Lezer. You have to say when he says he's b'yantif, it's going on the last thing, not going on the food things. Because yantif, you're allowed to make food. Kitzer, so the Chachamim say echad zeh v'echad zeh ein el mishum shvus. So they don't hold these malachas. So it comes out like this: that the Rebbe Lezer, who says that this is the deraisa, so he'll say, but it's mutter for making cheese for food. So then once it's mutter for that, it's mutter for building your house. The Chachamim never even held to begin with that there's a malacha of boinim in making cheese. So therefore, there's no mitoich by that case. So the Aruch LaNer says that according to the Rabbanim, there's no tzvar to say. There's no heter to say that you can build your house in Yom Tov. So he says, "B'chas v'azeh Aruch LaNer shezeh mevur de'ein shayich zeh rak Rebbe Lezer sham t'sfir le'in megav chayim mishum boina." That's only Rebbe Lezer. Aval the Rabbanan, according to the Rabbanan, t'sfir le'in megav mishum boina. There's no Eiser boina. Lo shayich gam ke mitoich. You can't say mitoich, and you can't build your house in Yom Tov. Mimei boina ashtem midiraisa. So now we have what do we accomplish here? We have a machlokes Rebbe Lezer and the Rabbanan if you can build a house on Yom Tov. So now use this to answer up our question. That when the Gemara says you can't build the base of Mikdash on Yom Tov, that's going according to Rabbanan. But according to Rebbe Lezer, you could. So according to Rebbe Lezer, you could say that's what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was choishish for. Okay, take a look. V'zeh miyashiv kushes harishonim de la'olam binyan de la'asi loy mishum kach mutter de asi bonim min hashamayim. It's not pshat that it's going to come down from Shemayim on Yom Tov. Ki yeh bonim b'di adam. No, it'll be built by people. Umikol makom loy kasha. Still not shver ha'asir leave nois b'Yom Tov. The Gemara in Shevuos that says it's also to build on Yom Tov. That's only according to the Chachamim. Aval the Teretz Zeh, Mashenkin according to Rebbe Lezer, you could build it. Aval the Teretz Zeh, he's asking that this Teretz will say that Azil Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai v'shitas Rebbe Lezer Talmidoi. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is going to go according to his Talmud Rebbe Lezer. The Ein is Rabbi Yom Tov Rach Midrabanan. It's only Rabbanan. It could be the Rabbanan didn't make the Gzeira when it came to building the base of Mikdash. They made a Gzeira when you want to build your house, but they didn't make a Gzeira in the base of Mikdash, maybe because it ain't Shvus the Mikdash. So you could build the base of Mikdash on Yom Tov. Okay? So that's true that if we would say she'ein b'boina ised midiraisa ela b'drabanan boy kashim mibinyan de la'asi the ein shvus b'mikdash. He's the Aruch LaNer is right that if it's only drabanan, then we could say build the base mikdash on Yom Tov because ein shvus b'mikdash. Aval yisoid binyanai shekasv shezeh mavur the ein shayich zeh rak l'Rebbe Lezer. The problem with the Aruch LaNer is that the Aruch LaNer says this is only true according to Rebbe Lezer. The Rabbanan sfirlu the ein b'megam mishum boina. The Rabbanan hold that making cheese is not boina. And it's just a shvus. So therefore, they can't say mitoich on it, and they can't say this whole thing. So he says, he tamua. This whole thing that the Aruch LaNer says is unbelievable. Why? The hare b'hamagid mishnah, b'rav hamagid per ches milchas Shabbos halachas zayin, kosev shehichriya harach zal. The Rach, Rabbeinu Chananel, proves, berais with proofs, v'chein kosev arif b'tshuva, v'chein yudas Rambam zal, that in this Gemara on Shabbos, you have a list of things that Rebbe Lezer says is a malacha, right? Making milk, making cheese, milking the cow, making the cheese. Those things.
We practice milking cows direct, don't we practice that way?
Yeah, we do.
Really, not their bones, they shvus.
Right. Well,
usually they run. Usually.
But this is what he's going to say here. Take a look at this list. He split to the part. Milking the cow, making the curds in the way, making cheese. That's the first thing. Kegroigris, period. Those things everyone agrees are chayav. Now, the next part is a machlokes. Hamachabed, sweeping the house. B'amarabed, pouring water on the floor. V'haroide chalos dvash, taking the honey out. The honeycomb out. That's chayav chatas divrei Rebbe Lezer. V'chacham moimim no. Echod zev v'echod zev. Sayin Shabbos, sayin Yom Tov. Ein ela mishum shvus. It's only a shvus. But the first three things about the milk and the cheese, even the Rabbanan are moeded. That's why what you said is true, that everyone agrees milking a cow on Shabbos is malacha. That's what the Rambam paskins and the Rif paskins. So it comes out, you can't say what the Aruch LaNer says, because the Aruch LaNer's whole vart is based on the fact that the Chacham argue on making cheese. And they don't argue. Everyone agrees making cheese is a deraisa. So it comes out making cheese on Yom Tov would be mitoich, and building a house would be mitoich, and this whole Tosfos would be true l'chuli alma. So the problem with that is, then how do you explain how the Gemara could say that binyan beis hamikdash is not doicha Yom Tov?
Right.
Everyone should agree that it's doicha Yom Tov.
Also, how do you build at night when we don't build a beis hamikdash at night? That's also.
Yeah, well, that part, I think the Orthodox gets out of that by saying that it's going to be built on Yom Tov, not mamish at night. I don't know, like right at the end of the day, it's considered night. Take a look. I have the Orthodox copied off. I'm not going to go read it now. It's too long. But on page 7, if you want to read it, it's right over here, highlighted. Anyway, so let's try to finish up here. So he says, the Rabbanan only argue on the first thing, on the last things. The first thing, which is milking cow, making cheese, it's not a machlokes. V'chein pasuk Rambam b'perek Yud Milchas Shabbos halacha Yud Gimel halacha Damagaben who told us boina. The Rambam pasuk is making cheese is told of boina. V'chein hechli la'alacha pri chadash b'orchaim Siman Tzadik the Megaben Aster Min HaTorah Mishum boina. So it comes out that everyone agrees to that. Hein emesh yesh rishonim shesoivim depluktis Rabbanan hi akulu hu akuhu. There are rishonim who say that the Rabbanan do argue on Megaben Shebebrayis Hasham. What will the Orach L'ner answer? That the greatest of the Rishonim, the Rach and the Rambam, the Rif, all hold, the ones that are Kavei L'Alacha hold that's not so. How is he going to answer up the Gemara according to them? Okay? So it comes out that everyone's going to agree according to Tosfos that building on Yom Tov is D'Rabbanan, and therefore Beis Hamikdash L'Chayr should be mutter to build. So he says, I'm going to get back to that later. In other words, it's going to be shver. Now the Orach L'ner's teretz is too good. It's so good that it's good even according to D'Rabbanan. In other words, he's saying the Orach L'ner's teretz is not good because it's too good. What I mean to say is, he says a teretz with a Relezer that maybe the Beis Hamikdash will be built on Yom Tov. But the problem is that if what he's saying is true, it should be true according to the Rabbanan too. Because the Rabbanan also agree with the Relezer by making cheese. So everyone should agree that it's mutter to build it on Yom Tov. So that kasha we still have to answer. Even if we don't say L'Orach L'ner's teretz, we still have to answer that question. Gam hu doiche gadol, she'iyeh eze hu hava mina b'olam she'kafanis Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai ein re'el al-liba de Rabbi Lezer. That it's also schwer to say that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's takana should only be according to Rabbi Lezer, who holds that binyan beis hamikdash is mutter on Yom Tov. V'lo al-liba de chachamim. Klal. The ein halachas Rabbi Lezer, because usually we don't pass like Rabbi Lezer. The Orach L'ner himself asked this question. Meaning that in the generation after Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, there was this machlokes Rabbi Lezer and the Rabbanan. How did the Rabbanan understand Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's takana? So, right? So therefore, even without that, we wouldn't want to argue on Rashi and Tosfos, who say that it's going to come down min hashamayim. So we're stuck with the problem that if it's going to come down min hashamayim, then what's this thing that it'll be built b'dei adam? How does those two things fit together? The now he's saying his own teretz. He's saying, I'll tell you that it's true what Rashi says, that it might come down from the sky. But it's also true that the Gemara is saying that it will be built by people. And then it will come down into that Beis Hamikdash, like the Orach L'ner. We can't know for sure what's going to happen until it happens. That's always what we say about things that happen when Mashiach comes. We're not going to know exactly.
We don't know exactly. People think they know, you can't.
So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was afraid of the binyan beis hamikdash b'layla because he didn't know for sure that it would be built by human hands before. Saying, "Iyach shalei bir gomer be'eze oifed yiyah achar biyas haMashiach." Kamash kasav gam Rambam b'stoy hilchos melachim. Ki be'emes hakol tolei be'eze mida uzman sheyiyah biyas haMashiach. It depends on how Mashiach is going to come and with what shlus he's going to come. There are different scenarios. He could come early, come later, with shlus, without shlus. Ukamash kasav haramak. The Mekubal, the Ramak, the time of yeah. Shemitam zeh iyaf shaloymar hilchos mashiach.
When he wrote this, where did he write this?
I don't know which sefer it's in, but he says.
I know he wrote the well-known sefer Torah,
right? So he says we can't say a halacha about Yemais Mashiach because we don't really know.
Yeah, the Zionists try to use from Kabbalah to prove, all kind of halakha and Mashiach.
Uve Eretz HaChaim al Tehillim, Mizmor Ayin Aleph. This Sefer Eretz HaChaim, it looks like it was from about 300 years ago, because I have the title page here.
Who wrote it?
Rabbi Avraham Chaim Cohen, the great-grandson of the Sma. The Sma on the Shulchan Aruch, the side of Shulchan Aruch Even Weiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his great grandson, it says here, Avraham Chaim Cohen, son of Shmuel, son of Yaspa, son of the Sma. Okay. So this Pirush on Tehillim, Pitzal Ayin Aleph, Kosta b'dvar chilukim shekoyim yiyeh b'yis HaMashiach umem shana achar kach yiyeh tchis HaMesim v'achar kach b'ni Beis HaMikdash. That there's I think it's a Zohar, a Medrash, that says that first Mashiach will come, then 40 years later there'll be Tchis HaMesim, and then the Beis HaMikdash. And the Eretz HaChaim says, Ki zeh rak im yiyeh koydem hazman. That's only if Mashiach comes before the time limit. It comes early when we have, like Zachu, Yidden are Zoich, to have him early, he comes early. Sh'az yiyeh lefi HaMadrekas. Then it will happen in order. Afal im yiyeh be'ita, but if he comes at the last possible moment, then yiyeh tchis HaMesim u'biyas HaMashiach u'biyas Beis HaMikdash hakol b'pam achas. Everything will happen at once. Yuyin Sham. So what we're trying to prove from this, that you see that the Seder Hadvarim, that Beis HaMikdash first, Mashiach first, depends on when Mashiach comes. Things that are written openly in the Torah can't change. That's why someone who denies the coming of Mashiach is denying the Torah. All the different details of what's going to happen after the Kabbalah that we have a Messiah about it. Kosav Rambam Perek Yud Beis Melachos Malachim. We don't know how it's going to happen until it happens. Okay, so we can say the same thing about the order of the building. Even though, like the Orthodox Jews said, that really the Seder is supposed to be first human beings build it, and then it comes down from the sky into that. But it's possible that things could happen different, that it will go fast. The Beis Hamikdash will come down before they build it below. The Eretz HaChaim says that about the other details, that things could change. Everything could come together. So here also maybe the human hands part could come after. So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had a reason to be afraid that this might happen. And he made a takon Hashem Yahweh Beis Hamikdash Shalmayla Shaloi Keseder Madregas. Ve'ein ze stira l'masha nira Seder Madregas livnois koyim b'dei Adam. It's not a steer to what the other places say that people will build it.
Why?
Because it could be that a different scenario will happen. Mashiach will come fast. Like the Eretz HaChaim says at the time limit, right? Let's say today has to happen. Everything has to happen today. So then Mashiach will come and the Beis HaMikdash at the same time. So maybe it will happen fast, and maybe people won't have to build it. Rashi says another answer. We could say that Rashi and Tosfos is only going according to the Havamina. Like he said, I told you before, he says that the Gemara says it's a Havamina. He says that part of the Gemara is only Havamina. Rabbi Nachman Bar Yitzchak disagrees. So he says, this the Rashi and Tosfos say, the God's Rishema Yavoi Beis HaMikdash Shal Ma'ala B'Shabbos V'Yom Terem Sh'Yavoi Mashiach Hu Lefia Havamina. That's only the Havamina Sh'Atam Hu Mishum Gzeira. That Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made a Gzeira. The Tzarech Loimar Kein Machmas HaKusha She'ev Shalibnos Beis HaMikdash B'Shabbos V'Yom Tov. And Rashi's forced into it because of his question that you can't build it on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Aval Amaskana Shehu Deraisa V'Darash V'Hiskin. According to Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai just publicized a fact that was already true. Ve'enu Mishum Gzeira Klal. It's not a Gzeira. Su Ein Raya Sheyesh Sfar Loimar Sheyavod Kodim Beis HaMikdash Shel Ma'ala. Now there's no proof anymore to say that the heavenly Beis HaMikdash will come down before people build it, and therefore we could just fall away from that. You could stop saying that. Okay, Umasha Kosfu Yivnu Kodim B'nei Adam Hu Lefia Maskana. This the other places the Orthodox Jews says the people will build it first is the Maskana. Uviyismach Moshe Parshas V'Shalach Al Kosuf Tiviyemo V'Sito Emoi Kosuf K'tzas B'Oifen Acher. V'Yismach Moshe says a different answer. She'abayis Harishon Nignaz V'Yavoi Koyim L'Mkoimoi Oisei Abayis She'Nignaz. The Bayis Harishon, Shlomo's Beis Hamikdash, was hidden underground somewhere, and it's going to come back.
Really? I thought the kushars were hidden, not the building itself.
Yeah,
it was burnt.
It's a tremendous.
Don't we say we're going to burn it? We also burnt it.
I know.
And you took vengeance and burnt the Beis Hamikdash.
Right, I hear. But he's saying that somehow it got hidden away, and it's going to come back. And v'yispalalu shama Yisrael, and the Jews will daven there. V'achar kach yavu l'sham habayis habanim
This is like very fair.
So what he's doing with this is he's saying now we can say that the steer between building human building and Hashem building is not a steer, because human building is Bayis Rishon, that was built by human hands and it's hidden away somewhere, and Hashem building it is the Bayis Shlishi, and the two are going to come together. And Mimela, it could happen on Yom Tov or B'layla, because
how is it? The baby stuck into the ground or something? What do you mean?
I don't know what he means.
Sounds very not clear.
It's not clear, but the point of the matter is he's trying to answer this question too. He's saying that the binyan could take place on Yom Tov and B'layla because we're not going to do it. It was built by human hands. Whose human hands? By Shlomo Melech's people, thousands of years ago. And that Beis Hamikdash is going to come back, and then it will be built by human hands, and also will be Yotzei the Shemaim part.